Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host Eric Lopkin with the Modern Observer Group, and with me as always is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How about you, Eric?
I am doing fantastic. This is a really big week for the Exvadio podcast network.
I hear. Tell
Yes. This is Success Showcase's 200th podcast.
Oh,
And at the same time, later this week, our sister podcast, Lighting the Candle, has its 100th episode. So we are celebrating this week with a giveaway for our listeners. We have put together a package of books, signed books written by some of our podcast hosts and guests. And you can go to exvadio.com/contest. Put your information in. One winner will be drawn at random to celebrate these anniversaries.
Wow, that's it. 200 episodes. What was I, like 20 years old when we started? I'm just kidding.
Something like that, yeah. It has been a while.
It has. So we have a really, really fun guest today. And you folks who are out there, if you're not hungry before, you are going to be when we're done with this today.
Yes. Our guest today is Susan, and I know I'm going to screw up the last name, and I apologize. So why don't you just introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Susan Pribyson.
And
Don't worry, most people don't get it right. And then on the phone, they think I say Ferguson. So
And Susan owns the Relish This food truck. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you got started with a food truck?
okay, I'm a co-owner of the Relish This food truck, where we serve traditional food items, but they are layered with different textures and flavors, and that's what makes us unique. We started in the middle of the pandemic in October of 2020. There was what you would call the perfect storm during the pandemic, where my job with a nonprofit went away, and my husband was getting ready to retire from the state. Prior to working 20 years with the state of Connecticut, he had been a chef, and we often talked about, oh, we should open a restaurant, we should do this or that. And then we saw the popularity of food trucks coming to Connecticut, and so we decided, let's open a food truck. And so we did. Kind of strange, but that's what we did.
And you did this in the middle of the pandemic. So, I mean, what kind of challenges did that pose?
Um, well, I mean, he was working from home at the time, getting ready to retire. So we had plenty of time to do it, but it took us 3 months to find just the right truck, because having been a chef, I guess when you're working in the kitchen, everything moves to the left until it goes out the window to the customer. And a lot of food trucks are not set up that way. And he really wanted it to be set up like a professional kitchen. And so we finally found one in Stamford, and they were called HAPA, which means Philippine American or Asian American. And that's how we got to our signature purple roll. Because when we kept calling down to people in Stamford and asking them about the HAPA truck, they didn't know that was the name. They just know, oh, the purple rolls, the purple rolls. So when we were cleaning the truck, we found their purveyor list and called the bakery and asked them if they would continue to make them for us.
Yeah, so tell us about the purple buns.
Purple buns. Yes,
They're always so much fun to talk about, and you see pictures of them on your website and so on and so forth. People absolutely love them, and they're very unique. So tell us the story behind that and how you got these. Obviously, you told about a little bit so far. So,
well, they're made out of purple yams from the Philippines, and we have an exclusive. I don't know if exclusive right or whatever it is for with the bakery in Norwalk. They don't make them for anybody else, and they won't make them for anybody else. And it's interesting when people, it's on our menu board that what they're made out of. But not everybody reads that. And so you hand out the order and they're like, oh, your rolls are purple. It's like, and then we explain why they're purple. And a lot of people come back and tell us, wow, those rolls were really good. Sometimes children are a little fearful of a purple roll. You think they would love the color, but sometimes they're a little put off by the purple color. But for the most part, people love them. And during this economy, we're trying to make more shareable meals. So we took 2 of our items and turned them into sliders. And they were able to make purple slider rolls or buns. I mean, we have t-shirts when we're working that says, yes, our buns are purple. Relish them.
Yeah, obviously, this is something that you've looked forward to for a long time, and silver lining in the COVID cloud forced you into this sort of. But you seem to be having just so much fun doing this, and the testimonials that you receive all over the place is that, you know, it's got to be heartwarming, rewarding, very, very hard work, but it's just so wonderful that here you are, a success story after everything that's happened. You just pivoted very, very nicely and deliciously.
Thanks. Well, you know, someone asked me the other week about how is it that you're able to work with your husband in such close quarters? And my answer was, we have very distinct, separate roles. I am not a chef. I don't cook. My children, who were 3 and 5 at the time when I married CJ, or Chef CJ, were so thrilled because they know I can't cook. And so he cooked all the dinners when they were growing up, and they were so happy. So I don't dare get into what he's cooking because I don't know anything about it. I do sometimes comment on appearance because that falls into the customer service realm. And I'm in charge of customer service and the business end. And so he leaves that to me, and 2 separate roles. And as long as we stay in our lane, everything works out great. It had, you know, and that's one thing we say, if it's not going to be fun, we're not going to continue to do it. We call it our encore career, retirement career. And so it should be fun. It should not be something that you're miserable doing or that you don't look forward to. And we meet so many wonderful people where we go.
That's fantastic. Now, you said he worked for the state and was a chef before that. What did you do before Relish This?
My entire career was devoted in the nonprofit sector. Anywhere from substance abuse, mental health. My last position was helping what's called the underemployed, people that had a job but couldn't make ends meet. And they're often overlooked in the nonprofit world. So that was very meaningful.
Very cool.
So, and I mean, so my whole thing has been helping others, interacting with others, raising funds for causes. So that's why, I mean, I love being at the window and interacting and meeting people. And we also, I mean, I guess it's just in my blood. I mean, we did several fundraisers last year where we raised money for the Cancer Society. Our commissary kitchen is Hands on Hartford. And we donated a dinner for 25 people to their gala. Very excited about that because they decided to wait, and they're going to have us do a private party in their neighborhood for more than what we donated. So we will make some money on it, but Kentucky Derby party, which I love the Kentucky Derby. So that's going to be a fun event. We will change the titles of all of our items to the horses that are in the race. So
very cool. You can make a little purple derby.
There you go. We'll have to see which jockeys wear purple, and we'll give them the best items.
Yeah, so you talked about doing fundraising events and so on and so forth, and you have a wonderful website that explains everywhere that you go. It says where you're available for, and you actually have a calendar telling everybody where the truck is going to be on a daily basis. And it looks like, you know, you got a whole lot of places going on in the month of April, you know, everywhere from breweries and wineries to Yukon Spring Weekend and so on and so forth. So tell us about, you know, the events that you're doing and, you know, how to get a hold of you. And you also mentioned doing private events such as weddings and things like that. And You actually have a nice little article in your website talking about trend number 3 as far as wedding trends is laid back luxury and using food trucks for that too. So, I mean, you really not only started your business, but you're really outside the box with every way that you're doing things. So talk about that.
Well, I mean, when we started out, we went to contacting traditional venues such as breweries, wineries, and food truck festivals, and so we learned a lot during the first year, and we also did a lot of private events that we somehow people found out about us, and we went to several private schools, the colleges, did quite a bit at Trinity. And the nice thing about those events is that you have an agreed upon price and serving numbers before you go. Whether if you're at a brewery or winery, you never know if it's going to be crowded, and it's very much weather conditional. If it's raining, people don't like to come out. They'll come out in the snow, but not in the rain. I don't know why. And definitely the sunnier it is, the more people there are. But from there, we ventured into advertising that we're available for birthday parties, block parties, etc. And when we put it out there, people have found us, and then we're able to have some results to promote to others. So we're definitely moving in that area where we do more private events. We actually have 3 weddings this summer that we are doing. We're doing a repeat birthday party that we did last year, and other fun events. So they're exciting. You get to engage with people more on the private events than you do if you're sitting in a brewery or a winery.
Sure. So, we've seen the trend of food trucks just exploding over the last 5 years or so, maybe a little longer already. What do you think is the big attraction to going to a food truck or a food truck festival even, rather than a food court or a restaurant?
Well, I think it's less formal than going to a lot of restaurants. I know the food truck festivals, you have such an array of food, so many choices, which is part of the reason why we don't specialize in like tacos or just chicken or a certain ethnicity of food, because we want, if a family comes to our truck, we want something there for everyone rather than to have to go to 3 different trucks. And a lot of times we are the only truck. So that's been a plus for us. But that's the only thing I can think of. I think the continued, it's a little bit less expensive than most restaurants. I think that has something to do with it too. And where we are, I mean, breweries, a lot of them, they don't want a kitchen. They don't want to have to get into the food. So it's convenient for us to be there. It's a good partnership.
Excellent. So now you guys have your set menu. How did you decide on, you just said you didn't want tacos or something.
Right.
How did you decide on what your menu was going to be? Because you do have a wide range of choices.
That credit goes all to the chef. Although we do change up our menu from time to time. We did have somebody come 2 weeks ago. They came to our truck and they said, "Where's your crab cakes?" And we only have the crab cakes in the summertime. But that, I have to say, that's an item that I actually make. My husband does not make the crab cakes. I grew up going to Bethany Beach every summer in Delaware, and I learned how to make a true crab cake with minimal breading to hold it together. It's all crab, 95% crab. So they're popular. But we have had lamb burgers, duck burgers. We changed the fish that we have, instead of crab cakes, but we've also had halibut, you name it. We used to have a Korean chicken on there, and then we switched it to buffalo chicken. So we try and change it up so that it doesn't get too stale and predictable. The only consistent item has been our number 1 seller, and that's the Relish This cheeseburger, where it's a bacon cheeseburger. So we put the cheese, then the bacon, then caramelized onions, and then a bourbon maple vanilla